It's the surprisiest of surprise live streams. Hey, everybody. Happy Tuesday. Absolutely no warning about this live stream. That's the benefit of having a subscription to Small YouTubers Boost YouTube channel and having notifications turned on so you can know when we go live, because sometimes we go live with no notice at all. This is one of those times, probably the worst of it. Normally I get like some notice out there. Be able to post in our Facebook group or something. But this was just like stars aligned. Ace Vegas. In the middle of me editing. Is that better or worse than what, rendering? Isn't that when I normally catch people, is when they're rendering? Let's see here. Popping out chat. Well, building my website really, but you know. Yeah, website building, like, depending on what you use and your workflow, you got to be focused, I think, is important. Let me make sure I got the URL. Yeah, I do. Okay. Just going to do my social sharing thing, and then we'll be off to the races. I would love a channel review, Dizzy Lou. Cool. You're second on the list. Let me just do some social sharing. Get the word out about this total surprise. Stars aligned. I had to jump on the opportunity. So, yeah. These live streams have two rules. I'll just go through that blurb while I'm doing my social shares. So rule number one, I'm not going to be subscribing to anybody's channels. I don't want Chad to turn into a, hey, look at me, subscribe to my channel kind of thing. It's never done that before, but let's keep it that way, guys. And the second thing is I won't be watching any videos. I've got my speakers turned off. I don't want content ID matches. I don't want to spend 2 hours watching a long play. Because then that's all we would be able to do. I'm not here to share or host your content. I'm here to try and offer whatever advice, insight, maybe a dash of entertainment that I can to help you be a little bit more successful on YouTube. My basic philosophy, I talk about why on these live streams a lot. My why of doing this is because I think YouTube has gotten very big. Some could argue too big. Anyways, it's gotten very big. And when anything gets big and successful, it gets complicated. More money, more problems, am I right? So when that happens, they get things like, you know, algorithms and various things going, you know, machine learning and all this kind of stuff. So I think that it can become intimidating, and it can become such that it's not necessarily the best ideas that rise to the top. It's often the people who know how to game the system. And that just rubs me the wrong way. That's not the way I think it should be. So what I'm here to do as much as I possibly can is demystify the behind-the-scenes secrets of YouTube, the things that I've figured out over my many years on the platform, and my small modicum of success that I've had, and also things I've learned from the Facebook group, Small YouTubers Boost. So yeah, so that it becomes about the quality of your ideas and maybe the effort that you put in and things like that. Experiencing explosive growth as a result of your ideas. Wow, that is awesome. Thank you. That makes my day. You know what? That made my day. I can just stop the live stream here. Have a good night, everybody. I'm kidding. Couldn't do that. But no, that's awesome. That's a highlight of my day here and things like that. So thank you. I'm actually thinking about maybe making a channel trailer for this very channel and maybe highlighting some of those testimonials, because I've been hearing them more and more, particularly recently. And so I'm starting to think like maybe I'm onto something here. And so if I am, that's great. Just a quick audio check. How is my audio? I'm going to move the mic a little bit. Well, actually, first of all, how's my volume? Should I move the mic closer? Am I clear? Is there an echo? Just like doing a quick sound check to start this thing off. We've had a few episodes where it did not go well. There was an echo and other things. Product placement. Gotta do it when you can. Vacation Impossible is my primary channel. Joined the YouTube platform in 2006. Audio's great. Okay, then I won't leave it. I won't touch it. I will just leave the mic where it is. It's a little further away than usual, but hey, gives me a little space. So that's great. Cool. All right. Yeah, so I've been on the platform since 2006. I uploaded my first video in 2008. And then it was around November of 2016, I think, that I just one day said, I am sick of not being a success on YouTube. I just said it one day. And so I started joining Facebook groups, and one of the group that was that started up shortly thereafter in December was Small YouTubers Boost. I joined it. Following April, became a mod, and the following January, the original admin handed the group over to me, and it's been just explosive ever since. Ever since I joined the mod team. When I joined the mod team, there's like 1,400 members. We're now over 80,000 members strong, which is absolutely amazing. So, anyways. SZN said my Facebook name for some reason. Hello. I'm not sure what you mean by saying Rayar, but that's me. So anyways, Ace of Vegas was the first person here. The way we roll is we go by chat chronologically. First person to speak in chats, first person to get the request addressed. Now, oh, just a little WordPress. That's cool. I wrote my very not great website in Notepad. So it's like, I'm really proud that I wrote it in Notepad, but it's also really not great. So I'm not that proud, if that can be a thing. You're in the Facebook group. That's awesome. Glad to have you here. Gary Dunlap, welcome to the show. So, anyways, Ace of Vegas, he's apparently having some great growth right now, based on some previous advice, so that is super awesome. And he's very nice. He deferred his turn to the next person in line, which was very nice of him to do. So Dizzy Lou, you're actually number 1, and you'd like a channel review, and you're a member from the group, so that's nice. Good to have you here. I was having a little fun in the group earlier today with some Shakespearean stuff. I thought... I was just sitting at my desk, and it occurred to me, for some reason, I was thinking about a line from Romeo and Juliet about, what is it? What was it? It's deny thy father and refuse thy name, right? That famous line. All about, like, it doesn't matter who your family is. And I was thinking about it, was like, oh, I could turn that into, like, a restating of the rules of the group. And so I did, just for fun. And so it was deny thy sub for sub and refuse thy selling of channels, views, and subs. And then we just kind of had some fun in the comments from there. So that was kind of a little bit of fun. I actually, for a couple of years, did, if you can believe it, Shakespeare Improv. It is a thing. We would speak in the, early modern English is what Shakespearean English is. And we would actually speak in iambic pentameter, and it would be all improvised. And so every now and then I miss those days, but never for long. Like, I miss it for a few hours, and then I'm like, no, that was actually a whole lot of work and pretty horrific, because you start thinking in iambic pentameter, and you start thinking in, like, Shakespearean English, and that's a very strange place to be in. When you dream in iambic pentameter, it's freaking weird. So I wouldn't want to do that again, because you have to practice to get good at it. But every now and then I'm a little nostalgic. So then I started rewriting other rules. We started having some fun. That was a lot of fun. So if you want to see what I'm talking about in the group, search the word Shakespearean and it should come up. But that's not why we're here. That was just my little fun this afternoon. We're here to look at Dizzy Lou's channel to start off. A little reminiscent of Desi Lou, the studio that started Star Trek, among other things. Okay, so Dizzy Lou, looks like we found you here. I think that matches the picture. Yeah, it looks like you. So when I'm in my review mode, I don't have chat up, so or a preview of, like, what I'm broadcasting. So just kind of bear with me, because I want to focus completely on the channel review. So that's what I'm going to do here. And actually, before we get into that, I want to show you something here. My YouTube often looks different than the viewer's YouTube for 3 particular reasons. One is I have premium, so I don't have to deal with ads, which is a kind of nice thing to have, but not required. Doesn't really help your channel any. The second thing is I have mine on dark mode because I like it. I like it when it's a little darker. I can get optical migraines and stuff, so that just helps prevent that. And then the other thing is that I have a browser plugin called TubeBuddy installed. And so that adds certain functionality. You see the white rectangle on the right-hand side of the screen. That is TubeBuddy in action. So that's why it might look different. TubeBuddy has 30 free tools that will help you. Yeah, 30, not 33. 30 free. 30 free tools, and then you can get the paid versions. I went crazy. I got the whole hog. I got the whole package. But right now, I'm logged into Small YouTubers Boost, and I'm only using the free package for that channel. So this is what you get with free. When you're looking at search results. So I could click Show Keyword Score to reveal the score of what I just searched. It gives me 3 related searches to what I just searched, and 3 of the most used tags in association with what I just searched. It would allow me to do things like copy stuff to the clipboard and stuff like that. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to switch accounts right now. So I'm going to take you from the free version to the legendary version, which is like the full meal deal everything. I went kind of crazy and got probably more than I need, but I'm still happy with it. So that's just explaining what that is. And so now you can see, this is what free looks like. Now let's hop over and see what legendary looks like. So you get a little bit of a sense of the free versus the paid version as well. If you want to get the paid version or the free version, there is a link down below that you can use to go get that browser plugin. It's also an app and a website. It's pretty good. I mean, it's really good. It's made a huge difference in my channel. It's essential for me helping out other channels. I need this information to be effective for you. And so yeah, the free version, 30 tools, which is great. And then you can get more on top of that. If you decide to get the more on top of that, make sure that you're in the Small YouTubers Boost Facebook group. I've got the URL up on the screen there. And if you go into the announcement section, there's a code that'll save you 20% if you decide to get a paid version. So anyways, now you see the keyword score now shows automatically. I don't have to click on anything. And so it shows the search volumes of what I just searched and how much competition there is for that keyword. Oh, and it gives an overall score, in this case a fairly good score, 49 out of 100. Now you see the related searches. It's not just limited to 3, but there's actually so many the scroll bar appears and I could scroll further. And the most used tags goes on and on and on and on. And that's partly because I have Legendary. So if you were to have Star or Pro, it'd be a little bit shorter, maybe more manageable a list. So that's just what that's all about. And so looking at Dizzy Lou, we've got her profile picture up here. And so it's pretty good. I would... It seems like it's a little bit pixelated. It seems like you've cropped yourself out of a picture. But it looks a little rough in some of the cropping, like along the forehead and that side. It looks a little bit jagged, a little bit pixelated. I mean, it's okay, but if you're looking for something that you might want to consider, you know, punching up in the future, there might be some opportunity there. As well, you might be able to zoom in on yourself a little bit more so that you stand out just a little bit. Like you've got a little bit of clearance above the head, which, I mean, it makes for a nice design aesthetic. But when the image scales down, for example, looking at it in chat, it's really much smaller. And I can tell that there's a person there, but looking at it in chat, because of the colors involved, I thought it might have been like a cartoon, kind of like my avatar on Facebook. I'm Ray R on Facebook, the administrator of Small YouTubers Boost. Mine was made by Talentsy, so Talentsy is an option if you wanted to go for that. It's like $7.99 a month, unlimited graphic design services. They do profiles, banner, thumbnails, stuff like that. It can take anywhere from 1 to 10 business days, in my personal experience, to get that turned around. So, I mean, if you're looking to go that cartoony route, you can. I don't know that that's the best idea for you. I don't know what your channel's about yet, so I'm not sure. But... you know, I'm just thinking that you can make yourself a little bit, like zoom in just a little bit so it's a little easier to see what we're looking at multiple resolutions. So we've got your description. Hey everyone, welcome to my channel. I film almost everything that goes on in my life. I'm a small holder. I keep animals down at ... So there's a few things there. Anyone who's watched previous live streams, you know what I'm about to say. And that's And this is like, I don't know, most common small YouTuber thing to do. I think most YouTubers, probably like 80-90% of YouTubers, they forget about their description after it's written. That first time. It's like setting up a dating profile. It's like you're on, I don't know, Plenty of Fish or whatever the hell, and you try to be a little witty or try to be open or friendly or whatever, and it's like, how do I summarize myself in a paragraph? And normally it's while you're in the process of doing something else. So I want to go, you know, find a date. I want to upload my first video. I want to add my friends on Facebook or whatever it is. When you're on these different sites, then you're like, oh, I have to write a profile. I don't think anyone ever gets to, ooh, I get to write a profile today. Lovely. I was hoping this would happen. I don't think that happens to anybody. Maybe it's just my point of view, but normally when I hit that, I'm like, oh, it's like, okay, I already had to create a password. Now I got to do this. And so I don't think many people go to it with gusto or enthusiasm or joy. I think it's just something that people feel like they have to do to check the box to move on to the next step in the process. And so then they do it once, and because it was an unpleasant experience, they never go back. But it's important because, as I'm trying to show here, that's how you display when people search. If your channel comes up as a result, your channel description is what's in the preview. And so that actually can be important. And sure, maybe you're not going to show up a lot in those kinds of searches. Maybe not a lot of people search and filter it by channels and things like that. But for the few that do, why not grab those people as best you can? More importantly than that, it factors into SEO. It factors into the SEO for your channel and even individual videos. So that's something to keep in mind. Keywords that are in your channel description that line up with your videos increase the power of those videos in terms of search and discovery. So that's part of why this stuff is important. A third reason would also be that if someone's watched a couple of your videos and they're starting to get a feel, they think they like you, but they're kind of on the fence, they want to know more what you're about, that's probably the moment they click and they read the full description. And so, again, not a huge amount of people, but let's grab and hold on to those people and sell ourselves to those people as good as possible. in my experience in all my years over YouTube and the modicum of success I've reached on Vacation Impossible, I've realized that there's no one trick to YouTube. I'm very sorry, there's no easy trick to it. And I mean, if it was easy, everyone would be successful, and it just doesn't work that way as a marketplace of ideas. So you have to do 100 small things. That's where TubeBuddy really comes in handy. They got their checklists and their best practices and stuff that constantly is reminding, like me, I've been doing this for so long, I'm still constantly forgetting things. Oh God, right, an info card. Yes, I should do that. Thank you, TubeBuddy. But even beyond TubeBuddy, there's easily 100 things. I could probably just rattle them off right now. I won't because it'll waste your time. But and I want to get into this channel review. But there's so many different things. And so the more of those that you can get right, that you can get in place working for you, you do it once, set it and forget it. It'll work for you over time when you put in that initial effort. They talk about things like passive income. That's like rolling the boulder up the steep side of the hill. And so you do all this work on the front end, and then you watch it roll down and roll away for miles or kilometers, depending if you're metric or not. And the idea is that you kind of make the money as it rolls down the hill, and then hopefully on forever. That's kind of the premise. That's one metaphor for passive income. But that can also work for getting subscribers and views and comments, likes, things of that nature. You do the work on the front end, and then you watch the benefits roll in. I mean, if you're hustling like I am and a lot of other people, you're actually not standing there watching it necessarily. You're working on the next boulder, you know, the next video, the next thing. But that's the general philosophy behind it. So let's set it, but set it to a really high level so that we can set it and forget it. And maybe it's good to go back and look at your channel description, maybe once every year, maybe on your birthday might be a good sort of a reminder. You know, it's like, they say that when people who do daylight savings times, they say that's when you check your smoke detector. It has nothing to do with the fact that you're changing the clocks. It's the fact that you're running around your house anyways. It's a good trigger moment. So maybe something. Maybe January, you know, like every January. Check in. Make sure it's still accurate to what you're doing with the channel. So, like I said, people who've watched these before know what I'm going to say. You begin with, hey everyone, welcome to my channel. To be brutally honest, to save time that way, that's not helping you. It's conversational, it might be fine to say in a video, but in text it doesn't do anything for anyone. Just to be my brutal opinion. Take it or leave it, you don't have to listen to me, I'm just a crazy guy talking on the internet. But it's not SEO, you know, because first of all small YouTubers seem to say this for some reason. Somewhere along the line, I don't know where they got this idea, but like this welcome to my channel, I don't know where that phraseology came from, but it seems like every small YouTuber at some point or another, I probably had it at some point if I go back far enough, all at some point said welcome to my channel in their description. But that's not what people go to a description for. They're not there for a welcome. They're there for a description, to describe something, to explain what it's about, which is great because that's a great opportunity to get keywords in there. You describe with keywords. It's an open opportunity to put some keywords there. So I would take out, hey everyone, welcome to my channel. If you want to say that at the beginning of your video, that can be it might be a welcoming thing. Your audience may or may not like it. Doesn't do much for me personally. That's just my tastes. I like getting to the meat of it, and that's just filler for me. It's rhetorical filler for me, my perspective. So I would say get that out of there and just start with, I film almost everything that goes on in my life, because that tells me something about what your channel's about. You're probably sort of a vlogger, basically, to a degree. I mean, it might not be sitting in a chair speaking to a camera, but if it's all about your life, you're sort of the character, the star of the show, the point of the show, the thing that brings it all together with cohesion in one way or another. Like Vacation Impossible, it's a travel show, so it's all about traveling. We every now and then stray slightly out of our lane, and we're normally punished for it. And so we're doing better at staying in that. And so it's about you. I'm a small holder. I don't know what that means. I keep animals down, which I'm guessing you're like down at the place, you know, like downtown, like, you know, down at the veterinary clinic. I keep animals down at the shelter, something like that. But because of the way that this is truncating is when something gets cut off in the middle, or early on in this case. I'm a small holder, don't know what that means. I keep animals down. I mean, it could be interpreted, and I'm not saying that I'm not getting this impression, but somebody could easily misread that to be like, you keep them down, like you're making sure they don't get above themselves, or like, you know, you keep them depressed, like, no, and I don't think you're doing that, but that's why it's good to look at your channel in this particular way, because this is a first impression you could be making on someone, and so they might be intrigued by that. They're like, well, how does that sentence end? Maybe I want to click to know more. Or maybe it could be like, what the heck is this? I'm going to go on to the next thing. I don't want to, you know, I don't want to watch someone depress animals, but I'm not saying that's what you're doing. It's a ludicrous notion, I know that. But I'm taking it very literally, because also people, YouTube's a global audience. We've all heard it. Second largest search engine in the world. Soon to become the first. It's trending to get above Google, if you can believe it, even though they're the same company. So with that in mind, people in different languages and different reading levels and different backgrounds and philosophies and religions and ethics and histories and all sorts of things might look at it and have different interpretations. So let's try to make nice broad appeal. And I mean, I'm asking you to do two contradictory things simultaneously. Have broad appeal and be specific at the same time. Good luck with that. So how can you do that? I film almost everything that goes on in my life, and then go on from there to immediately pivot as succinctly as possible to explain what your channel is about. And keep in mind that you're going to get cut off. This is, I always talk about above the fold. Here's a different metaphor for you. You're accepting your award at, the Academy Awards, the Emmys or something, and they're getting ready to play you off if you talk about politics or you talk too long. This is more so about talking too long. So you got to get you got to thank mom and, your husband and everybody else early in the speech so it doesn't get played off and then you have to go home and have an awkward conversation. I was going to thank you, but at the end of my speech, I'm sorry. I was going to tell you what my channel was about, just not at the beginning. That's not going to be very effective. So I think I've ranted about that enough. And again, a lot of what I try to do here, I try to make general for a variety of channels. So it might not be specifically relevant to the channel that's right in front of me. I hope it is, but if it's not, and certainly nothing's personal or directed at anyone. So 73 videos, 101 subscribers. So I'm assuming very recently hit 100 subscribers. So that's a very important milestone. It's the first important milestone in a YouTuber's success, life, career, whatever you want to call it. And the reason for that, the reason it's the first official milestone, if you get the TubeBuddy app, it'll be like, hey, 20 subscribers is a milestone. And that can be nice motivation. You can set goals for yourself. But in terms of like objective milestone for everyone that everyone should acknowledge as a milestone, 100 subscribers is number one. Chronologically speaking, it's not the biggest, but it's the first. And that's because you get your custom URL. And so if you haven't requested it yet or not, it's an important decision because, you might just call it Dizzy Lou. It could be youtube.com/Dizzy Lou, and that could work. You could get nicely on brand with your name. Excuse me, I'm going to grab at Tums. That's totally fine. But if you want to consider things like keywords, then that's relevant. So for example, I have two channels, this one and my Vacation Impossible. Vacation Impossible is youtube.com/Vacation Impossible. What have I got going on there? Well, as a travel channel, I've got vacation in the name. Not only do I have it in the name, I have it in the custom URL, which helps with, SEO, keyword searchability, things like that. If one day I ever go after the super competitive keyword of vacation, which, I mean, that's super competitive. I don't know what would come up if I just searched that word a lot. But I'd have a leg up. And so if someone searches something else, like I recently did a video, how to get a free upgrade. And somebody adds vacation onto the end of that, even though I didn't add it to the title, because it's my channel name, it's part of the URL, more likely to come up potentially. So it's an important decision. I don't want to put too much weight on it, but if it's coming up and it's like Dizzy Lou and you have to have like 8558 on the end of there, a couple people have kind of made that work, but that's the exception and not the rule. How many famous YouTubers have numbers in their names? Not very many. Some of them have it in their URL. Roberto Blake is Roberto Blake 2 in the URL, but everywhere else he's just Roberto Blake. I bet he wishes he could get rid of that too. I don't know, but I suspect. So if it's doing that sort of a thing where it's like, oh, you have to be, Dizzy Lou 47 or something, maybe Dizzy Lou Animals or something else. Instead of putting a number on there, a keyword that works for you. But if you go that route, you got to commit to that keyword for basically all time because you're kind of stuck with it, with that URL. So I think I've said enough about that. Let's dive into the channel. I do see that all the videos coming up here in the search results are yours as well. So you're owning your name, which is very good. Let's take a look here. Okay, so again, it's the same image. There's a few things going on here. Some good stuff, some opportunities for improvement. So again, it's that same image of you, and so yeah, it does look a little bit pixelated. So you might want to consider a newer, updated image for the banner, but maybe keep the same one in the profile so that people get something a little different to look at, but obviously still you. I think a picture of you is a good idea. I think you're the central focus of this channel. But something a little bit higher resolution. So again, you can make it a little bit larger, zoom it in, whatever you want to call it, so that it's a little easier to see and connect with. Rather than something that's a little pixelated. I like the font that you're using. It's a very readable, nice, thick block font, which is a thing I talk about a lot. But in this case, your contrast is low, and that's problematic. It blends in because it's a light blue, and there's white behind it that's blending into another blue. So it doesn't contrast very heavily with the background. And the background image is nice, and your general color scheme is nice. Don't get me wrong. I like the consistent kind of blue thing you've got going on here. But not only, one of the tricks that people use, graphic designers, I imagine, certainly amateur Photoshop people like this dude, is if you want text to pop, you can put a box or a rectangle behind it as a layer behind the text. But the thing you've done here is the box that's immediately behind it is light, but the font is light. The outline around the font is light, and so that's actually decreasing the contrast rather than increasing it. So what you're going to want to consider doing is either making the text darker, or take that box and instead of making it a lighter box, make it a darker box, a box that darkens that area so that bright font will pop against it, or vice versa. But make sure that it's different on different, opposite on opposite if that works for you. You could have, like, you know, the teal orange thing, which is a whole other thing, which might be, but again, I like the consistency of the blue. So like a navy blue or something that matches the shirt you're wearing a little bit more maybe. Not so much that we lose you in it, though. Or maybe that's the color of the font. That could actually work quite nicely. Match the font to maybe the shirt color, and then you don't have to change anything else, because then you and the text will pop. And I think that's probably a thing that you want. Looks like you got a social link here, but the icon doesn't seem to be loading. Okay. There's a problem with your social link. You've tried to add Instagram, but it's showing up incorrectly. The URL is youtube.com/channel/www.instagram.com/dizzy_lou89. So there's an example of having a number in the name. Now you've got that in Instagram, so you might want to keep that consistent so that it's always DizzyLou89 everywhere. That's possible. One thing to keep in mind is if that is the year of your birth, then you're providing a little bit of personal information there, which can be a little bit problematic if someone were to try and basically be an imposter and pretend to be you. There's this really interesting story I read, I think it was in Wired or something, like a year or two ago, and it was about a Twitter handle which was just the letter H. It was @H. And it was something that they call, I think, social engineering or social hacking. So when you have a really short username, a short URL for your website, whatever, there's value to that, and it can be bought and sold, whether you want to or not, whether you think it's ethical or not. It's a thing that happens. Carnival Cruises wanted the Carnival Cruise handle for Snapchat, but some random kid had it, so they had to give that kid a cruise to get him to give it up. And so, I mean, I don't think that the ethics of camping on usernames that are just with the intent of selling it one day is cool. I'm against that, but the point, that's an important premise for this story. So some hacker, entrepreneur, if you prefer, depending on how you feel about the morality of that, decided they wanted to obtain the letter H, the Twitter handle. So they went to the guy's Twitter and they found out that, okay, it links to a personal website. They went to the personal website and they looked at the behind the scenes information and realized it was who the provider was, GoDaddy or somebody. So then they started calling up GoDaddy. And I say started calling up because it was a series of multiple calls. So they would start off by saying, by calling, and somebody would be like, "Oh, hello, Sally speaking here at GoDaddy," and they'd be like, "Oh God, Sally, why? I don't know why they transferred me to you. I'm supposed to be with billing. Could you? I'm so sorry. I'm on my cell phone. I'm on Bluetooth right now. I'm driving. Can you just transfer me to billing, please? I'm so sorry to bother you." If you hear that, what are you going to think? You know, oh, well, they didn't say their name, but they're probably a coworker of mine. So they just assumed. So they transferred them to billing. And here's where it gets, like, sneaky. The call gets transferred to billing, and it's calling from inside the house because it's a transfer. It didn't show as an external number. So it looked like somebody calling within the ISP, GoDaddy, whoever it was. It looked like it was an internal call. And so it was like, oh, hey, you know, market billing. And they're like, oh, hey, great. I'm looking at the account for this person, and you know what? We sent the invoice to the wrong address. Can you just tell me what the address is? I'm terribly sorry. He's like, oh, you know, I'm sorry, I can't give you that. And he's like, no, that's fine, that's fine. It's really just the postal or the zip code I need. Can you just give me the zip code? That's the only part I think we got wrong. Oh, yeah, I can just give you that. And he reads out the zip code. Great, thanks, bye, click. Hangs up. Calls in again, but now he's got the zip code. And he does a series of calls like that, and he gathers more and more information about this person to the point where he's ready. He calls in, and he passes a security verification check as if he's the owner of this website. He gets the website password changed. It included email. And so he gets the email password changed. He goes to Twitter, requests a change of password. What do? They send you the email. The email goes to the official website. He gets it. He's got the password, and he changes it, and that's how he took over the username. Now, it's a very long story, and it's slightly paranoid. I get that. But the point is, the more information about yourself you put out into the world, that's one less phone call that dude's got to make if you make it big one day and your YouTube is worth millions. So that's why I get a little paranoid about personal information. So just something to think about if you're, again, getting ready to get that custom URL. Do you want, if 89 is your year of birth, or a special number, or part of your password or something, is that something you want to put in that URL? I don't know, maybe. Just think about it. Make an intentional choice. But anyways, the point is, this link here will not work. So I'm going to hop over to your About page and see if I can troubleshoot it for you. So what you're going to want to do is, you're going to want to go onto your About page and click Edit, and then you're going to click the social links, and you're going to want to see exactly how it's entered there. And basically, try to cut out any extraneous stuff so that it's just the Instagram link, because right now it thinks that it's thinking that Instagram is hosted on YouTube, which is not. And I also see here in your About page that you do have a Twitter account, but that's not a clickable link. So you can add multiple links here. So clean up the Instagram one so that hopefully it works and loads properly. You'll know when it's working when that box next to Dizzy Lou turns into the Instagram logo. Also add the Twitter one, and similarly, when it's a Twitter logo that shows up, you'll know you've done it correctly, and you can go to your page and click on it just to make sure it works properly. So that's an easy fix. Let's get back to the channel review here. Okay. You got your two boxes set up, featured channels and popular channels, so that's good. Those are important. You've got uploads and created playlists, which is not bad. One thing that I would suggest is also popular uploads. What this will do is it'll create a horizontal playlist row that will be your top 5 most viewed videos. And as that changes, as like your 6th most popular becomes your 5th most popular, it'll make it under the list and bump the other one off, and it's all automatic, done behind the scenes. You set it once and you forget it, and YouTube's automatic systems takes care of it for you. So I do highly recommend that. Put it at the bottom. Generally speaking, if I'm checking out a channel and I'm thinking, do I want to subscribe to this person or not, one of the things I might do, scroll down looking for popular uploads. I want to see what their most popular stuff is. What was successful? What resonates? It's not necessarily an accurate representation of them at their best, but it's them at their most popular. And so it's some useful information. Oh, they're really known for this maybe, or this is very popular. Okay. Hey, there's that collab they did with that famous person. It can factor into my decision making. But if I scroll down and I don't see it, this is what I have to do if I want that information. I got to click over to your videos, click 1. Then I got to choose sort by, click 2. Then I got to choose most popular, click 3. People are lazy. Let's save them the 3 clicks. They'll like you more for it if you have that popular thing there. So these would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 would be the ones that would display. So the baby prank wouldn't make it, but the others would. But maybe one day it would only take 3 views for baby prank to kick out the day out in Manchester. And so you can have a little grudge match going on between your videos at the bottom of your channel. And it's also a way that when people come to your channel, it might look a little different, a little fresh every time. It's not a bad thing. Give people reasons to come back. I want to take a look at what kind of playlists you've created, because you did have a list of lists. Okay. So I think you're going to want to put probably a couple playlists on your homepage. Now, you only want to consider those playlists with 5 or more videos, because otherwise it won't complete the row, and it'll look a little lopsided, a little incomplete, possibly a little unprofessional, if I were to be harsh. So, you got some interesting things here. Angry grandpa pranks, that would probably be all right. That's interesting, because then you have AGP vids. I'm guessing that's angry grandpa prank vids. So those 2 playlists look redundant. You can definitely have multiple playlists, but I would suggest that you not have duplicates. So for example, talking about my travel channel, just because it's what I'm experienced with, I'll have a playlist about a particular trip, where maybe I'll go to Mahogany Bay and Cozumel on the Carnival Miracle. Okay. So that'll be, the trip will have a playlist. That'll be its primary official playlist for the videos. But I might also have a playlist for all the Mahogany Bay videos, because I've been there several times. And actually, I need to do this thing that I'm talking about, because I haven't consistently. A playlist with all the Cozumel videos that'll cross over different trips and years. But you can have the video on multiple playlists, but have a reason for having more than one playlist. Don't make it a duplication, is my advice. So that's the, and then I might have like a third playlist for all the Carnival Miracle related stuff. And so some videos will appear on different ones. So that's just something to think about. So I would go in and add at least one, possibly 2 or 3 playlists here as well. And then created playlists, yeah, I don't know. Playlists of playlists. I'm not sure how popular those are. They don't appeal to me personally. So that's something you could play with or without. Do a little A/B testing. I don't know. Looking at your thumbnails, your text pops fairly well, which is good. One thing, and I'm only seeing one time, but a plot update, I'm guessing 5. The text is partially in the bottom right-hand corner, and the way that the image is framed up, I can kind of see why it is, and you kind of need to. But the problem is the time code appears there. So the E and the 5 are being covered up by the time right now. So what I would consider to do to make that a little bit more visible is just move that text up a little bit, maybe justify it right, and so it can go a little bit more in the top corner without covering you or the, I'm going to say goat, ram, I don't know, so that it's still, you know, and it's not blocking any important part of the image, but then it's definitely not going to get caught up with the time code there. So that would be good. But your other thumbnails are pretty good. I'm noticing a partially consistent theme with the font. Club with Brother, Shopping Spree, Visiting Mother seem to be a very similar kind of 70s rounded font look, which is cool. Actually kind of like 70s Nightclub, Club 54 kind of font almost. I don't know. The plot update 5 looks like an Arial, and then It's Mother's Day is another thing too, almost with like a Soviet hint to it. So I would just consider maybe using a single font more consistently. Personally, I'd recommend the one that you've got, Shopping Spree, in the middle, because it's nice block, clear, easy to read, works with a nice thick outline like you've got on it, or stroke as it's sometimes called in different software. And so I think that font is most readable. I don't know if the color selection is super high contrast, but I would go with that font consistently. Another possibility, similar to the playlist, you could try for a consistent font across everything, or if you have different themes, like plot update seems to be a separate sort of storyline, I'm thinking. And like maybe spending time with your mother is a separate thing. I don't know. But if you decide to do that, then you could have like the font and style that you use for the plot update, the font and style you use for stuff with your mom, the font and style that you use for other things. That's up to you. Do you want to be consistent across the channel, or consistent across sort of your sub-brands, your playlists, your shows? YouTube, they call it a channel. A channel is made up of multiple shows, potentially. If that's the way you envision it and the way that you run your channel, then that might work well. But think about that from a consistency standpoint, and then also think about the colors that you're using. You know, there's kind of like red, black and white, sort of a cyan blue thing, then there's a light pink, then there's a black and white. So be intentional with that. If it's always about your mom having like some pink, if it's always about shopping, making it blue, plot's always black and white, whatever, something like that is a possibility. Or you might want to have a consistent color. And again, looking at your profile picture and your banner, I think like a blue as a consistent font color could be good. Part of the thing that I'm seeing here is that there's not a lot of blue in the actual background images of your thumbnails. So there's not a risk of it blending in completely. So, for example, let's go back to like the 80s and the 90s, right? Now we have something called green screen effect, right? I even tried it once myself with mixed results. Back in like the 80s and 90s, it was called a blue screen effect. And so the idea is you have a solid color behind you so that you can chroma key it out and substitute it with something else. And they initially went with blue for, I don't know, reasons. Maybe they just like the color blue. I certainly do. But then they realized that if you're wearing a blue shirt against a blue background, when they chroma key the background out, they also take out your shirt. And so, the dinosaur that's chasing you in the effect is also showing through your torso. You've probably seen some Weather Network fails where somebody, comes out in a green dress and they're like, oh, I'm a floating head today and arms. And so the reason that I'm mentioning that is because basically they realized that people wear blue a lot, but they wear green far less frequently. So they switched to green screens because people wear green less often. It was easier to address that issue rather than asking everyone to change their fashion preferences. So the idea here is that the blue is not already existing in a lot of your images. It's a little bit in the would you rather and slightly on the banner and shopping spree, but that's about the only blue I'm really seeing. And so, the would you rather actually is a really good thumbnail. Don't mess with that. That looks great. And the shopping spree one, the blue isn't where the font is, so it wouldn't matter anyway. So if you were to go with a consistent color, I think the blue theme that you're rocking in other places would be good, so that people are like, hey, okay, when I see that font in that color, this is Dizzy. I know that. It's consistent. And so, oh, hey, that's a thing I remember from before. Make yourself memorable, easy to identify, a consistent look, also breeds a sense of professionalism. And so, for example, I talk about this on other social media platforms, not YouTube. Having a consistent image can actually get you verified faster. So YouTube has a very specific requirement of a certain number of subscribers before they'll verify you, at least now. Before it wasn't that way, so you might see some verified people with less. But generally speaking, that's how they do it now. So there's it seems like almost everything with YouTube these days is a subscriber requirement. I wish they would maybe not use that for everything. Like mobile live streaming, they just recently put in a 1,000 subscriber limit thing. That's annoying people, and I can appreciate that. It's like having subscribers makes you noble of character and purpose, and that is not necessarily related. They might be subscribing because you go and do horrible things, or you break all the rules and they like watching it. Like that assumption is a tenuous one at best. So, anyways, the point that I'm getting to is that other social media platforms, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, other things, they don't use that same kind of a metric. And so one of the things those other platforms will use is they will try to see, is it really you? Instagram, for example, you want to get verified, sending them a picture of your passport as part of that process can help to prove that you are who you are. But the other thing is what if you're a brand? How can I prove that I'm Vacation Impossible? The name Vacation Impossible does not appear on my passport. It's a fiction that I came up with. How do I prove that that's me? That's harder. It's not incorporated yet, thinking about it. So it's not like I can take a picture of incorporation documents. So how do you prove it? Well, one of the ways you prove it is by having a consistent look across multiple platforms and being consistent in the way that you use those platforms. So if somebody looks at you on Twitter and looks at you on Instagram and it's the same banner and the same profile picture on those two as well as here, that it increases their confidence. Excuse me. That you are the representative of this. If it's all cross-linking and very carefully related to each other, and clearly, then they're more likely to verify you on those other platforms. So if you get that magic check mark on Twitter and you get the magic check mark on Instagram, that's gonna help your YouTube channel if it's driving any traffic at all, and if you get it, by that point you probably are or can. So that's one of the reasons, on top of other brand recognitions and other things, why having a consistent color scheme and font and style as much as you can is a good idea. So let's now take a look at Channelytics. This is a TubeBuddy tool. You get this with the free version. It's one of those 30 free things. And in case I sound like a shill, here's where I tell you the God's honest truth. It doesn't always work quite right. And here it is. This always happens, almost always, 98% of the time. You see how the subscriber thing is not loading. You have to toggle it to something else and then back to subscribers. TubeBuddy's great, but she ain't perfect. So let's take a look here. So it looks like you're seeing some ups and downs in subscribers that's actually kind of canceling each other out. I don't want to make assumptions, but on the off chance that that might be sub for sub, strongly recommend against it, because if you do that at any point, that can cause YouTube to just straight up shut down your channel. They won't give you much notification. You'll get an email and no recourse, and it's game frickin' over. And in theory, you're not supposed to be allowed to ever create another channel again once that's terminated. So really, if that's happening, I'm not saying it is, but I'm concerned it might be. If that's the case, stop immediately, unsubscribe from everyone that you're not actually enjoying or watching, that you might have gotten caught up in that, and just hope that, like, you know, YouTube never checks carefully, if you have kind of wandered down that path, just because what often happens in those situations is they'll subscribe and then later they'll unsubscribe once they got the subscribe from you. It's a whole toxic thing. I mean, it is fraud, it is cheating, and people cheat at the fraud. They say they'll be permanent, and they probably aren't. Now, if you're not doing that, that's fine. You might want to look at your analytics under subscribers to see where and why you're losing subscribers. And there are two particular things you're going to want to look out for when you look at that. One is closed accounts. If it's closed accounts, for one thing, if you didn't do sub for sub, let yourself off the hook. That ain't your fault. That's some people who watched your stuff that for whatever reason their accounts got shut down. Maybe they closed them themselves. Maybe they had multiples and realized, oh, I didn't realize I had 2, or I don't need 3. Or maybe they got shut down for nefarious fraud, sub for sub like things. I don't know. But if it's closed account and you didn't do sub for sub, it's not your fault. So just ignore that, okay? Like, that is just the world doing what the world does. You can't control that at all. But then it could be, there is watch page or videos is one of the things you can dive into, and it will actually show you people, how many people are subscribing or unsubscribing whilst watching a particular video. It'll list out the videos and give you totals. You can dive in, get all sorts of useful information. And if there's a particular video that you put out that caused a bunch of people to unsubscribe and gained you no subscribers, that kind of video might be off-putting. If there's a video that is, you know, has been getting you subscribers over time and consistently, then that's kind of what we would call hero content. So for one thing, make sure that it appears on your homepage in a playlist somewhere. You might want to promote that video more because people who watch it are more inclined to subscribe to you. I have that with my How to Dress for Alaska video on Vacation Impossible. That drives a lot of subscribers, which is great. And so, you know, and you might want to do more content of that nature. Don't reproduce it, but maybe similar things on a theme. That's one way, along with views, that you can kind of tell what's popular. There's different definitions of popular. It's not just views. It could be watch time. It could be driving subscribers, comments, interactions, thumbs up, likes, you know, whatever. You know, purchases if you happen to have affiliate links or things like that. So there's a lot of different ways to call a video successful. And so it's good to understand some of those metrics. Now, in the early days, in the neighborhood of 100 subscribers, I think views, watch time, and subscribers are kind of the important ones. Probably subscribers is a good one to focus on. So it's like, oh, hey, you know, that time my brother was on my channel, that video gets tons of subscribers. Hey, bro, want to be on my channel again? Might not be a bad idea. Alternatively, if it's, you know, I don't know, hey, you know, my sister was on my channel and a lot of people unsubscribed. Okay, awkward. Maybe don't make that phone call. Maybe, you know, don't totally cut them out of your life or anything crazy like that, but maybe don't encourage them. Or maybe it's something else. Maybe it's like, oh, well, the video with my sister, we went to the mall, but the video with my brother, we went to the nightclub. Let's try mixing it up. Let's test it out. Play it up a little bit. Go to the club with the sister. Does that still do well? Okay, they like the nightclub. It's not the person. It's the place. There can be a variety of different reasons, but, you know, you can start to dive in and experiment and see what's what there. So that's just some thoughts. It's interesting. The links that you had aren't showing here at all. Well, that's because there's only one that was malformed. So maybe TubeBuddy's ignoring it because it isn't working. But yeah, you're going to want to get the Instagram and the Twitter links sorted. As well, you don't have any channel tags. So earlier I was talking about channel descriptions. People forget them. A lot of people don't even know about or remember to put in channel tags. And channel tags are fairly important. And you know what? Even if they're not important, even if they're number 97 on the list of 100 things you can do to help your channel, they still help your channel. So give yourself every advantage. Do everything, all those 100 things you can think of. I should make a book, 100 things to make you successful on YouTube. That'd be pretty good. Anyways. That'll go in the idea bank. like make like an ebook or something. I'll charge people like 11 cents for it. It'll be great. Because that's probably what it'll be worth. Anyways, so go in and put in some tags there. Go in and be like, you know, hey, if you're a vlogger, put in vlog. Put in your name. Dizzy Lou should be in there. You know, just different things that you might that might be running themes for your channel is a good idea. Your description talked about animals. So you could put, and that's a good idea, is maybe look at your channel description and try to spot things that you think would make good keywords and then go and put them into channel tags. Alternatively, a thing you can do, if you get TubeBuddy, affiliate link down below, video not sponsored, you can go and look at other channels the way I'm looking at your channel. If there's someone that you look up to, or a competitor, or whatever, this information, having this as you navigate YouTube, even just as a consumer and someone being entertained, I'll go and watch Stephen Colbert, and I'll click and I've got TubeBuddy installed while I'm watching. I'll kind of glance at the tags, and there's some interesting things there, because I'm like, oh, that's working well for him. And so I'm kind of increasing my general knowledge about YouTube. Successful YouTubers, I think, are constantly looking for new information and opportunities to learn. And so grab it anywhere you can. And so I'm not competing with Stephen Colbert by any means. Unfortunately, I think I'm only going to be able to get this channel review done today. It's kind of a short broadcast. Sorry, but hopefully, we're covering a lot of ground. Hopefully it applies to a lot of people. But so I'm seeing, and every now and then I'm like, hey, why does he have, like, I don't know, somebody's name on there, Tom Cruise or something, but Tom Cruise isn't in this video? That's actually not cool. That's technically against YouTube's policies because it's misrepresenting. Interesting to know that they do that. I don't know. And so you can use that information to inform yourself, and maybe you don't necessarily have to go and copy, although you can, but it might inspire you to do your own. And so that's a suggestion that I would have for finding your channel links. So sorry this is a shorter broadcast, guys. We've only been going, well, 49 minutes. I can talk. Let's see what people have been saying in chat just before I kind of got to sign off. This was a surprise short little broadcast. So yeah, sorry I wasn't able to get to many people, but oh, hey, and Achilles Melee is here, or as I like to call him, Achilles Melee, because he's a chill guy. I've been sitting on that one for a while, not going to lie. I'm waiting for the right opportunity. I don't know that this was it. How do you get a channel reviewed? Join us early in chat. So I'm going to be doing another live stream on Friday, so in just a few days. So this Friday, probably around 1 p.m. Pacific, but I'm not really sure the exact time. So to get a review like Dizzy just did, make sure that you're subscribed, have notifications turned on, so you know when we go live. You get that notification before I post it in the Facebook group. You come on in, speak up in chat, just say, hey, tell me how my audio is doing, something like that. And then I'll go through based on the order that people spoke in chat. So the earlier you get into chat and say something, the more likely I'll be able to get to your request. So I do apologize that this was a short one today. But anyways, and Dizzy, you're very welcome. I hope that this is useful for you. So, awesome group. Thank you. Facebook group. Cool. Good stuff. So anyways, I do need to get going. Unfortunately, it is sort of a work night, so I've got other things I need to be tending to. But because I am the creator and owner of Vacation Impossible, I try to give you guys a challenge at the end of every one of these live streams. Something actionable. Maybe a reason to get you to watch to the end. Watch time. If you're looking for strategies, you can borrow that one. Maybe, I should say that at the top. I should be like, stay tuned for my challenge. You see, I'm slowly coming up with ideas for this. And that's the thing. I've been doing this since 2006, and I'm still coming up with new ideas, still learning things. So anyways, your mission, if you choose to accept it, is actually something I was just talking about. Go look at your About page. And you know what? Open up 2 copies of your browser. Have them side by side. Have TubeBuddy installed so you can look at your channel tags and stuff. Nice and easy, copy, paste, whatever. So install it. Links down below. No, that's my mouth. Link is down that way. Anyways, have 2 windows open, one with your About page and one that shows you your channel tags. And read through your About page on your channel and say, hey, what's a keyword? Try to spot the keywords. It's like grammar school, underline the object and the definitive article and all the other stuff. Find the verb, that kind of thing. Go in and find things that are potential keywords and see if they are also in your channel keywords. And if they're not, ask yourself why. And if it's why not, then go in and put it in, okay? So that's your mission if you choose to accept it. Compare your About page to your channel keywords and see what you come up with. You might have some new ideas, might help that channel get going. Thanks so much for watching, everybody. Sorry it was a shorter broadcast, but I'll be back on Friday. It's the month of Fridays. I'm going live every single Friday in April. Hopefully shooting for about 2 hours on Friday. We'll see how it goes. But subscribe to notifications, so I'll see you in chat. Thanks for watching. Hope everyone had a great Tuesday. I hope you have a very successful rest of your week. We'll see you on Friday. This live stream will self-destruct in 5 seconds.